Hey Val, thanks for coming. It's been a long time coming. I wanted to have this talk with you. And like we were talking before I started, and I've said many times, the goal of this podcast was just to have these high level conversations about filmmaking and, business and anything in general. And just, I want to share these with people because I know they could have helped me. And people have shared already so much valuable information. So I can't wait to talk to you and see what all, we talk about. But I'm just looking forward to it. So thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. For those that never seen this face before, I'm Valerie. People call me by Valhi. I like to think that's my artistic name, but it's
Oh,
also like the shortcut of it. And yeah, I've been in Orlando for 5 years now, and I'm a filmmaker, especially, well, I graduated in media production,
hmm
but I'm
when
more of
was
a
that?
2022.
Okay.
And I became more of a
Where'd you go?
documentary
Full Sail or UCF?
UCF.
UCF.
Go
Okay.
Knights.
All right.
UCF media production. I kind of dip into filmmaking for a little bit and never kind of find myself doing narrative or short films and things like that. But I love to be involved. So I'm more into the art department of
hmm
like short films and things like that. But I believe my genre is more of a documentary, but I
hmm
work as a media producer. So from events to branding to a lot of things, I do a lot of things.
hmm
So
Well,
that you can ask any question because like I do dip into many different things.
that's awesome. So, like I said, it's always great to talk to you. So we first met. That was, I think, my the so David did these filmmaker meetups, and I think it was like literally the third one. And I kind of I would call it sponsor it or whatever, and I got us a whole suite or a box at
Super cool.
The Kia Center was called the MV Center back then, and I think that's where we met, right? Am I
Mhm,
mistaken? Okay, so awesome. So I meet
definitely.
this, and I don't know anyone. It's like so many people. So do you remember anything from that interaction? I don't know.
I do. I remember you having the only person branded in the room.
Yeah, I'm always wearing the same shirt.
And
Yes.
I could definitely we had a conversation. You have a production company. And at the time I was freelancer,
hmm
video editor for C4.
Okay.
Um so at the time I remember you asking me, "Oh, so what do you do?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm doing this, blah blah blah." But I think that meeting was a blast
All right.
because it was a really social. Everybody was like, I don't know, like feeling in the
Yeah.
middle of like that.
Yeah, and I don't know how many people were actually watching the hockey game because I think that's what it was. It was like a
Yeah.
hockey game. I just got the whole box. They said up to 30 people. I was like, well, I don't know 30 people in Orlando, but I do know 30 filmmakers,
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah,
perfect
we
that
were
it
about
happened.
that
Yeah,
number,
no,
right?
we were maxed out. I was having to do so last minute cancellations. That was the only annoying part.
Yeah.
So, because there was official tickets I
Mhm.
had some people last minute be like, "Oh, I can't make it." Then I have to get the ticket back for them and
Okay,
then
yeah.
give it to someone else. It was like a transfer thing. So it was kind of a little bit I would call annoying process, but that's not on the people. That's just how the ticketing system or Ticketmaster works.
Okay.
But overall, it was really good, and to be able to do that, it was so cool.
No, it was a high
To
standard. After that, I'm like, well, which one is the next one? I'm
I know
coming.
I've been trying to do that. Hey, that event where I got that is coming up, so maybe they'll have a better auction because I wanted in a like a charity auction type of thing.
Okay.
So no, but that was a blast. I remember meeting you, and here's the crazy thing. You would think this is a very creative, technical field, so it's open to anyone, right? As
Yeah.
long as you're creative, technical. But as you remember, there was like barely any girls there. It's all
Yeah.
just men. So it's very neat every time I meet people, who are, females who are in this industry because they're kind of, breaking through the gender barrier or whatever, however you're gonna
Yeah.
say it. So have you noticed that? Do you feel that? You remember that
Yeah.
meetup, right? You were one of the
Yeah.
very few women.
Absolutely. And the other two girls I met in that day, I keep in touch with them, which is Sophie and Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
And they happen to be from Venezuela too. So I'm like, what? But yes, it's always you have to deal with that in every single setup. Personally, I never think of being a woman like like something that it wouldn't apport something, like I never think of myself like, oh, victim, I'm right here alone and stuff like that. I always love to see all the girls doing their thing. But yeah, it's like, I guess through the years and kind of the way I do, like I have a lot of friends that are guys. Like I know how guys mentality works, and it's a blast. Like I love to work with guys, and
I wonder
just
if that's
feel
a
like
common thread. So here's funny. I had Nat on the podcast.
Yeah.
Same thing. She said the same thing. I was
Yeah.
like, asking her a very similar question. I was like,
Yeah.
she's a great camera operator. I was like, but why are you one of the only few? And then same thing. She's like, well,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But also I'm like a guy's girl,
Yeah.
I like that. So maybe that's a common thread,
It has to be, because like, the guys are playful, in my opinion, and girls are not so much, even though we can always have fun as girls. But it's like at work, I feel like just the vibe of guys is like a little bit more chill, more relaxed. We get the work done, and then we're joking the whole time, or like at least making it, I don't know, easier on the things. Because like normally when we have a shoot or anything that we do, it takes hours. It's never like 1 hour gone. So in that sense, I like less troublemaking. I mean, I don't want to talk like like it's the standard, but like girls like are like more like they're looking for mistakes and things like that, and so then people get all sour because it's like, oh, for no reason, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like I'm more of
that's good though. That's a good team person. If you're looking for mistakes so we can fix them before they happen,
exactly.
I think that's a great team member. But that is true though. Now that you say the other side of it, I'd like to hang out with people who are fun, and so yes, I will bring anyone. I don't really care, if they're men or women or whatever. My main thing is you're gonna be fun on set, right?
Exactly.
So maybe that is why men end up being if
Exactly.
they're more fun. I didn't ever think from that side, so that's really cool that you say that. Yeah.
But at the same time, like I believe every should be at least 2 or 3 girls, just because of the eye is like is a compliment to the group. So I think like if you don't have any problem like I do to be with more men or women, then you're set up for this. Like I think all the girls I've met in the field are kind of the same approach. We're like self-sufficient. We're unapologetic. If we have something to bring to the table, we will. And I think that's amazing. That I wish all the girls feel in the world.
I wonder if that's why girls are producers more.
That too.
Yeah, because I've noticed that at least a lot of times when I have producers on set, and they're they tend to be female, so maybe that's why, because they have attention to detail,
absolutely,
and things like that. So that's pretty neat perspective. So so you got into film, right? You went to UCF, and you studied media production. But why film? Like, was there something about movies, or just?
Well, movies always like tap into my mind. Like when I like a movie, I can obsess about it. I love it. I know what I love it. But really, I didn't have. I think my influences in like TV and stuff like that will be my sister, my dad, my mom. They'll bring always like the good movies, and I'll be just sitting there and watching. But it was more of I was interested in studying audio engineer. For some reason, like I knew that I couldn't do something like that, or yes, but I don't know. I was like, I want to study this because I was, like when you hit your 15, 16, you're like, well, so what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So I was like, I don't know. I don't see doing this, and so I pulled that from me liking a lot the music in general. So I was like, I think I want to do this. Maybe become an audio engineer or something like that. But that was supposed to be in the capital of Venezuela. And my mom is a professor at the university locally where I live. And she was like, why would you do that? Like, you have this university, is super good. Just find something to do here. And then I was scouting like what to do. My sister knew that she wanted like design and architecture and stuff like that, but I always sucked drawing. So I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do something like that just because it's creative. Because I always felt like I was creative, but never had like the tool really. So I was like, well, And then I discovered media production. And one of their mentions, which is like, we'll say the mayor here, um, will be, it was audio. So they have, I'm trying to think from Spanish. So they have photography, which will be cinematography, then audio and production. So that's like kind of the three things. But since I didn't know anything, I was like, oh, audio, cool. I found it. I'll go for it. So first day in school is like, hey guys, we're media production, but we're trying to change the name soon to filmmaking. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, we're rebranding the school and the name of the mayor and all of that. So I'm like, okay, so first semester, I'm so lost because everyone knew they wanted like filmmaking. I love this. I love Kubrick.
So you got into it thinking it was audio production, and it ended up being film production.
Film production, and they do have like specialty for audio, but it's like audio for film, not even for anything else. Yeah.
That's so crazy. And this is in Venezuela,
And this
right?
is in Venezuela.
And is that why you're friends with Emmanuel? Because you're Venezuelan? So you can have a rep us together.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Here, most of my friends are super international, like far, far land from Venezuela. Then I came to Orlando and I started meeting like my two business partners. I'm from Venezuela. And we met at work. And I'm like, where are you from? Was the last question we asked for each other. Well, you know, Emmanuel, he's like not super Venezuelan. So he's like very American.
Emmanuel on the, obviously, but I think he was born and brought up here, right? So Emmanuel's been on the podcast. People have listened to him. So what brought you exactly to America? Was it just higher studies or something? Or
higher studies and the country just getting completely fucked up.
Yeah, we've all heard stories of Venezuela.
Yeah.
So obviously that was happening. And when was it? When did you get here?
2015. So
2015.
I'm in my 10-year mark right now.
Oh, wow. So you've been here 10 years, which is a long time.
I could not, like, when I remember being here, like, my first year, and hear people, I've been living here for 30 years, for 20 years, for 10 years. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of time. You know, I'm like, I can't believe that it just went by so fast.
Right? Time goes crazy. I just remember yesterday I was just making films with friends, and somehow we're here sitting in this room, you know, talking about film.
Exactly.
It's so crazy. And so obviously you came here, you were studying, and then what exactly? So tell me the story. Yeah, that's what I want to know. I want to know, when did you meet Emmanuel exactly?
Okay.
Or how did
that's a really fun part of it, because since I moved here and start from zero, decided to move from filmmaking again, just because if I didn't figure out the whole world from there, like I needed to adapt here, learn the language and see. And all I heard, one of my uncles live in LA and he's in the entertainment industry. He's an actor, and he just had a real talk with me, and he's like, hey, it's hard. You know, filmmaking is hard.
Yeah.
So just heads up. And then, you know, like with all this information, I was like, I should not, maybe. And then I was like, okay, how about I just go to UCF and find something I like. And I decided to start advertising and public relations. But what happened there, I was like, it's mainly copyright. And I'm very visual. Like, I can write, but I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm the best writer in the world. Like, I'm so creative writing or things like that. Plus, it's my second language. So I just felt, oh my God, I'm back into, I don't know what to do. And that's where I switched to media production. But at the same time, being in media production, I talked to my advisors and stuff, and I was like, yeah, but I like to jump into the commercial world and more of the advertising and the commercial side. I think there's a lot of potential. It's very creative and there's money for sure.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, it seems like a plan. I want to do that. And so I did one internship at Think Integrated here in Orlando. And I started working with Fernando.
Mm-hmm.
So with Fernando, we would just have work assignments, little things. There, I produced like a short documentary for the agency, and like from doing like little projects, he invited me for one that was not for work, and he was like, "Hey, this is my idea. I'm trying to produce the Blue Room, and I want to direct it. I would love to." So by that time, I think Fernando discovered I had talent doing gaffer, and I was very enthusiastic because I was taking the classes. I was like, I love it,
So you brought into this project,
Yeah.
for Fernando's project,
as a gaffer.
as a gaffer.
Yes.
So interesting. All right.
Yeah. So he was like, "Hey, I really like how you play with the lights and for these interviews and stuff like that. Do you think, would you like to be part of my short film?" And I'm like, "Of course, I love it. Yeah, why not?" Like that's my main thing. It's like, I don't think of myself a filmmaker because I'm not here. I'm like, oh, I have an idea with like creating this character and telling this story. I normally work with real resources. Like I know the person, I know the story, and I'm like, okay, this is a story. But I love the art craft. Like wow, that's the best thing ever. So I was like, yeah, you can do this, blah blah blah, and we shot in a little tiny apartment. So the crew was like maybe 5-6 people, or that's a lot. I think 5. And of course, cinematographer was Emmanuel.
Of course.
And we met for the first time and we just vibe. And we were like laughing the whole time. It was super exhausting because we start early. We blocked off all the light to make it dark, the apartment, Fernando's apartment. And then we spent a whole day until like 4 a.m. together. So of course, at the beginning, it was like a little, "Hey, how are you?" I'm Val. Hey, blah, blah. And then by 3 a.m., we were like laughing our ass off. And we were really proud of that whole project at the end because like it was the first time that I was involved with like a completely different creative, group, I'll say. And, that is also kind of weird to like jump into. Like normally when you're a creative or creator, you're always like, oh, that's my idea. And I'm going to get people involved. But when somebody involve you in their idea, it's kind of really cool. Like it's like, okay, I'm stepping in a different world and I'll make my work, just work around this. And we end up like going to film festivals and having a blast just with that little short. And then we became just like closer and closer. And then, of course, working with the same agency, we were brought back to set many times after
and now,
that.
obviously, your business partners are the main. We'll get to that in a second. So I want to know, what type of lights were you using? So you're a gaffer. Obviously, it's like sounds like your first gaffing project.
Yes.
And what type of lights did you have? Did you go to your school and grab them? How'd you get access to lights and stuff like that?
Yeah, at the time, so that was a cool thing about UCF, the production workshop, is that you could have access to apertures. That was when I first started using it, because like we will have the old school Fresnel and get burned
hot
and
lights,
hot lights and stuff like that, and we had to like set it up and make sure we know how to utilize those equipments. But the professors also thought it's like, hey, it's a little outdated. Just use this kit.
Yeah.
And then I invested in buying like a couple of them. And then we just brought
the first like what 120D or whatever.
The 120D,
the Mark 1,
Mark 3, Mark 2,
Mark 2.
Mark 2.
Oh, that's
so
cool. Those
they
were
had
my first aperture lights too. I bought a 3-light kit and used it a lot. So that's
it was
it was.
We have the same, the 3-light kit.
That's exactly what I bought.
And I started like digging into like gels and stuff, and I love to think of that one because we did not have a single RGB on that set.
Yeah.
And the whole set is blue and red and like all this, shadows of blue.
Oh, so you were
And
playing
it's
with
like
gels.
we were playing with gels and different shadow of
I
gels,
remember
like a
gels.
black, that. And it was like, and they melted down at some
Yeah.
point. And it was like, wow, I don't
miss
deal
it.
with that.
Funny enough, I still have some gels in my van, but we barely use them. I think
No.
ever since I switched to LED, it was like I think 300Ds that did it for me. So I bought 120D Mark IIs, like a 3 light kit, and I still had a ton of hot lights.
Okay.
And because they didn't fit everywhere, they weren't bright enough, whatever. But when the 300Ds came out, I was like, oh, time to sell all the highlights. Because and I don't remember ever since then ever even wearing gloves on set. And you
Okay.
couldn't touch some of these old lights without
No.
gloves or some kind of hand protection, right?
Mhm.
And it's so crazy how times
It's
have changed.
so
I don't remember at all for like past 5-6 years
No, you
wearing
don't see
gloves.
them
Yeah.
anywhere.
At
Yeah,
least in what we do, which is corporate
exactly.
and commercial work. Because even then, I think the last lights that I remember that weren't LEDs was M18s that I've used on some commercials. But even
Okay.
those have been now the new 1200Ds, 1200Xs can easily replace them for what we're using them for. So yeah, there's no reason to have hot lights
Exactly.
anymore. That's so crazy.
It's
Plus,
so
everything's
crazy.
turning RGB. So now again, you don't need gels. I have these.
Exactly.
I like to use these location kits. I don't know if
Mhm.
you've used them from Lee or Roscoe. They already come cut out.
Uh-huh,
Right?
uh-huh,
So
yes.
it's so easy to clip.
Yeah.
Again, same thing. I don't remember last time using them. It's been a
No,
few
I
years.
know. It's like
Because
some things get outdated so fast. Because, like, if we're thinking about this is 4 years ago,
yeah.
everything that I use on that set is completely old school.
And
Like,
that's what I'm saying.
super old school.
Isn't that
It's
crazy
like,
though to think
what?
about? That's what I'm like. I was like, I didn't start this company that long ago,
Exactly.
and I was using gels, and I'm like, now it'd be, and not that gels aren't used, but I'm saying with these modern day fixtures, you don't need to,
Of course.
because most lights have green, magenta, fixed color shift, and then most of them are RGB, or if you need RGB effects, like yeah, I mean, it's so crazy, right?
It's so crazy. Yeah.
So that's awesome. So you were on your set, you gaffed, and like
Yeah.
so you used gels. You made it
Yeah.
happen what the script demanded.
Yeah.
How was that? Like, how did you
Yes.
feel doing that? Did you feel like that was
I
it?
felt that my work really had, like, so we normally, people that don't know much about filmmaking, think of the director being the top, labor you'll do, and then cinematographer, of course, and then the rest of it is like just little pieces going. But then I realized that really a good gaffer that has a good communication with the DP can achieve so much.
Yes.
And it can go way beyond whatever story the director is proposing.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wow, I love that. And then it kind of opened my mind to, maybe at some point I was like, yeah, I'll invest and get my own camera and be like, yeah, DP, freelancer, the same route like most people do. And then I was like, going back to our first conversation, it's like, well, I do find myself as a girl leading with like cameras and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a lot. And you kind of need to have like just a physical work at all. And then for me, I was like, yeah, but there's a lot of guys and they're all talented, including Manuel. And it's like, I know, I see how they're talented, how they can carry a full gimbal and do all of this for 8 hours. Great. And then I was like, do I want that though? Or can I make the picture look good through, gaff and art direction and things like that kind of flows like more natural for me. And I was like, okay, now new door open for me. And then I'll start getting like more tools that will help me to achieve that side of like gaffing. But I did not stay just gaffing from that experience. I just
No, and I'm
can-
so glad you found your lane because at the end of the day, it's all about where you fit in. But just to say, not that girls can't do it, but I rather you be upfront. I had this happen once, so where I was trying to hire someone to like be a grip or whatever on set, something like that. I don't remember, but I remember this girl wanting to work with me, and I was like, absolutely. I was like, oh, this would be great. And then I was like, okay, awesome. This is the job requirements, right? You're gonna just come in. You know how we in corporate sets. It's like technically you can do a little bit of everything, but most of
Yeah.
it is, moving gear from here. It can be heavy. Are you okay with that? And she was like, well, I don't know if I can lift heavy gear. So I was like, well, then I guess it's not
Exactly.
gonna be the right job for
Ex-
you. I appreciated she was upfront, but I was like, I think she could have done it.
Yeah,
It's also about being
definitely.
confident and
Yeah.
being like, yeah, absolutely. It's not like, I mean, I get it. Video equipment's heavy, but it's
Yeah.
not that heavy like that you can't.
No,
And you're
exactly.
not alone. You always have 3-4
Of
person team
course.
minimum. So anyway, but yeah, I remember
But
that
I
that
always think of,
conversation.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And things are heavy. And I mean, if you think you can, you will do.
Yeah.
I mean, I consider myself
Mhm.
very strong, and I can do stuff that sometimes I'm like thinking I shouldn't.
Mhm.
I'm like, wait, I should not do this
Yeah.
real quick. But I do it because I'm that way. But what I saw is not only for the equipment side, but it's like how saturated
Mhm.
being a DP was at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oof, I just don't want to be, I mean, no offense, but I don't want to be competing with people. Like, I
Exactly.
just want to be hired for what you like about me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And
So I was
funny
like,
enough, you can easily shoot through because here's an advantage. Here's what I noticed. Most new DPs don't rely. See, here's the difference between, and tell me if I'm wrong. Difference between a DP and a camera operator is lighting, right? So most these people I find, and again, I'm not saying at the higher level. I'm saying people who are starting out who are like, I'm a DP.
Mhm.
They'll go in, they'll learn, like, buy a camera, learn to operate some cameras, and then they go, I'm a DP. And it's like, but they have no idea how to shape light, work with
Mhm.
shadows, or
Exactly.
any of it. And I'm like, but you're in charge. The gaffer is your partner to help you achieve that. They somehow think the gaffer is in charge of lighting. I'm like,
Yeah.
no. Gaffer works under the DP,
Exactly.
and fulfills DP's vision. So if the lighting doesn't look good, it's not the gaffer's fault. It's the
Yeah.
DP's fault.
Exactly.
So how many DPs are coming up? And that's what I'm saying. So you would have actually had an advantage. And
Yeah.
obviously you didn't choose that path, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because you understood lighting.
Exactly.
And you'd be amazed how many DPs,
Mm-hmm.
especially like I said, that mid to low level, have zero understanding of lighting.
Zero.
And it's not like you have to know every fixture, but you have to be able to light a set. You have to be able to shape and
Totally.
play with emotions, and so many DPs can. And that's why I'm like, you're not a DP. You're just a camera operator. Stop calling yourself a
That's
DP,
the thing.
right?
That's the thing. And then
And then they show up on real set, and it takes me a few minutes to go, okay, either never bringing you on or only bringing you on as a camera operator. Because if you can't shape light, you can't make anything look good. You know what I mean? Like, come on, like.
Exactly.
You can expose well, sure. You're a good
and
camera
that's
operator.
since we're talking in my experience, just like seeing how it was saturated but profitable. Like
Mhm.
I always knew that being a DP was profitable just because is the
You can
workflow
command a
is
higher
yeah,
rate, right?
exactly.
Because again, supposedly lighting in both cameras.
However, I thought maybe my input in production comes from like different other random skills,
Mhm.
and it's like it's not like I completely thought I'm never gonna do this job again,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I turn on the camera, do the DP work, and it works, and people are like, "Oh, I didn't know you're a DP," and I'm like,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I always been, but I just didn't push that as my first skill and what I
Mhm.
want to be hired for. And then once you start working with really killer DPs and stuff
Mhm.
like that, you don't want to
Yeah.
change mindset. Like at this point, I'm so comfortable knowing the DPs I work with, because I
Mhm.
just I need zero effort to like translate my thoughts.
Yeah.
I have clear communication. This is what I need. This is what it
Mhm.
is. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I concentrate what I should be doing, and I know everything is taken care of.
Yeah.
But that took a little bit. When you don't have that, you have to be your own DP and kill it,
Mhm.
because otherwise, like my standards for professional work are high. I'm like, I studied television. I saw big sets. I like I cannot, and
Yeah,
so I
exactly.
try to scout the people that could help to bring that. So
That's great. So, and that's what I'm saying. We're all trying to just, improve our craft, do better at the end, create good images, and give our clients results. So that's so awesome. So you already knew, hey, I want to do more corporate and commercial style work because A, there's money in it. B, you can still be creative. And it's really hard to make money doing indie movies. Let's be real,
Yeah.
right? So at what point did you start doing more corporate and commercial work?
Well, right about the same time, because I was an intern for this ad agency. I started like looking into what a video, um, team does
Mm-hmm.
inside of an agency or
Yeah.
something like that. And I was editing commercially too. So it was at that time everything was commercial, 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 commercial.
Yeah.
Right now, I'll say I'm more not in like just one role. I'm more in like involved in more roles right now,
Mhm.
but I'm dealing with smaller brands, brands that come to me, and
Yeah.
I'm helping them from scratch. But the gigs that I had, that were for transnationals, like very big companies. My job was like maybe one role, one thing very specific, and that was the time that I was like mostly editor and
And how
just
were you
like
finding these gigs through that agency, or
so.
did you have an independent way of finding clients?
Um, so no, through the agency, I'll be on set.
Okay.
Bigger set, projects and
Mhm.
clients, and learning the thing, and then after I was done with that agency, like my internship time, I didn't stay for a position in the company, but I stayed as a freelancer.
Mm.
So they would call me for whatever they knew I would fit in, and that was the same case with Fernando and Emmanuel.
Yeah.
But Fernando stayed there. He was kind of the lead who picked us for a specific role. So they do have a lot of content nowadays. The time we were like more like, oh, let's do this big commercial. Let's do it. So he will need more people. He will take care of like putting
And
the
that's so
things
great.
together.
Hey, it's all about people you know, and that's the smart, like so smart what you're saying right now. Because look, if you are new, the best thing you can do, a lot of people are apprehensive about getting a job. I'm like, no, go get a job at an agency. They're willing to hire people who are somewhat green because they have a team, right? They can have some people at the starting out, some people experienced, some people at the top. And then guess what happens when you're like at the top or you get the skills, you can leave, but you can become a freelancer for them. And most
That's true.
agencies need freelancers, even if they're in-house teams. And then when you know the people, like Fernando in-house, who are they going to call? They're going to call their own people, right? That's a very smart move. You can basically go in, learn, leave, do your own thing, but not leave the agency
Exactly.
in a way.
In a way, exactly.
And plus, you're like number one, number two on the call list because he's gonna call Emmanuel, he's gonna call you, and because he knows you, he likes to work with you guys,
Exactly.
right? That's perfectly, I think.
It's perfect,
worked out,
and
yeah.
it's like I know how isolated it feels like to be. Okay, this is my first day. I'm a filmmaker. Where do I get my clients? I have a lot of respect for people like Sean, who was so determined to figure out the whole thing.
Man, his
by
podcast
himself.
was so good because he was like, he went from 10 grand something to like over 6 figures.
Yeah.
That's a big jump to go from year one to year two.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's what the determination is, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. But it also, we all go through that. I don't know what I'm doing. I hope it's good. And sometimes it's not good and you have to do a lot of changes.
Yeah, you have to get
and then
that.
you're like all exhausted. And I'm like, oh, should I just go back and just do groceries and whatever? But I mean, for me, it was very strategic, but very meant to be, because I found out like really good connections, and it's good to connect with people, but it's even greater when they see what you can bring to the table. Like I'm always trying to pitch myself in a sense so people know where I fit.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to do like, since I'm like so annoying with like not getting a job professionally, then I feel really bad if I'm not the right fit for it. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna hate this. So I prefer these days to think, I'm gonna hate this,
Yeah,
but I know somebody that can kill it,
exactly.
or and that will appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah.
So I'm more of a that person right now. But at the time that I only didn't have this,
Hmm.
and fun fact, photography has been in my like useful tools forever. I freelance photography since I was like first year here.
That's so
I'm
great.
like, people are, oh, can you take a picture of it? And yeah, and then so people start thinking of me as a photographer when I thought photography was more of a hobby.
Mhm.
But I never stopped doing it. So at some point I'll be get hired just for photography.
See, that's crazy. And there is a thing. Well, first I want to talk about. You're absolutely right about people and putting yourself out there, because at the end of the day, you're finding a solution for your clients. Like you said, they have to be able to see what you can bring to the
Hmm.
table, because otherwise, like you said, you're just a sea of DPs. They can hire anyone, and like, or production company or whatever, right? And it's like, no, I'm not the same. I'm giving you a custom solution or whatever that is, but they
Hmm.
have to see that, so to be able to show them is incredible. And then your second point is so great about photography, because a lot of people get pigeonholed. I've done that to people where I've hired them, and I'm like, oh, so what do you do? I'm a photographer. Okay, I need a photographer. And then I hire them and then completely forget they also do video or some other role, right?
Exactly.
So have you had that happen where you did
Yes.
photography and they
Yes.
just think that's all you do, and you're primarily a
Yes.
video person?
Yeah. Oh my God. That happens a lot. And then I had this like kind of weird relationship with photography because people would be like, but you're so good. Why don't you do this? And I'm like, because I'm trying to merge and make it bigger for
Yeah.
myself. I like the entertainment and the
Yeah.
arts, like, and I feel video is a tool
Yeah.
and photography as well. And it
Yeah.
comes from the same kind
Yeah.
of brain, but it's completely two different things. Like,
I
I
love that you
love,
said that. So many people somehow think photography and video are the same thing, and they're
no,
completely different. Yeah.
completely different. I was like, we had a photography class at the studio last weekend, and I was, for a very long time, just having a little bit of the concepts and, the same things we deal in the same to video and photography, which is the ISO, the speed shooter, the aperture, and all of that. And I'm like, okay, guys, here's the
Hmm.
basics. This is the mentality of a photographer. You are self sufficient,
Hmm.
100% at all times. Here's the brain of a video person. You're not sufficient. You need people.
Yeah.
You are visionary and you're
Yeah.
good communicating. But, like working with photographers are completely different in terms of communication, in terms of like
Hmm.
execution, everything.
Yeah. Because let's not. Okay, I love photographers. They make me a lot of money. But let's be real. Photography is much easier. One person can manage it. Because all you're trying to do is freeze the frame. And it's so much easier to light, which is why I love flashes for them. Because, it's a lot easier for a battery to do 1,000th of a second, a huge
Y-
blast of light. Imagine, you can use that for video.
Yeah.
You would need ginormous batteries to even light lights. Point is, it's a different art form. They're
Hmm.
self-sufficient. They can do it by themselves, or maybe a team of two can handle most events. At least that's
Exactly.
what I need. However, with video, it's a completely art form. So there's
Mm.
experts in lighting, there's experts in camera, there's experts in like I said,
Yeah.
managing talent,
Yeah.
wardrobe design. I mean, we can go all in all. These are individual
Yeah.
jobs, and a videographer job is even harder, because now you have to do
Hmm.
all these people's work by
Exactly.
yourself, and you can never be I don't care what anyone says, you cannot be an expert in
Yeah.
30 jobs. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's like it's mind-blowing when I meet people and they're like, oh, I'm good at everything, and I'm like,
Yeah.
are you though? Are you? I'm not good at
Yeah.
everything. Nobody is,
Sure.
like, because the only reason you're good is because you collaborate, right? You work with
Exactly.
people you like, and then you create something amazing, and that's what
Exactly.
video is. And you could change things because you can show emotion. You can
Exactly.
and you can do that. Like, you can choose to make people happy, sad, whatever, right? Based
Hmm.
on the colors we use, the dialogues we write, the emotions the actors portray, or whatever.
But it's so that like it's a little bit of a lot of people.
Yeah.
The performance is so important, and they're almost the center of everything. But yeah, it's the difference between knowing that you can get all the work by yourself as a photographer and then knowing that you cannot get all the work by yourself, because that's kind of the same approach to every single
Yeah.
person that wants to do video. It's like, well, I'm gonna do everything.
Yeah.
And then by the time they do their first short film, they hate it.
Yeah.
Because why? Because your sound was terrible, and then this doesn't look good, and then you're trying to direct and also film, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
But only you know that when you start learning and really getting in the industry, then okay, that person has such a narrow and specific role on set, but without that person, this is not going to be the same. And then, you start building your own visual brand, which is very interesting. No, if you have the same people involved every time, you kind of work the things around and make different results every time, but it's like literally you have a formula. You know your players, you know everything, and you know how to get it done. So it's like it's never like a surprise when you already build your own team. It's like, I mean, we're gonna do a variation of what we did the last time, but with this vision. You know what I mean?
Have fun with it.
Yeah.
And talk about Emmanuel. So you guys did a documentary together, right?
Yes.
So how was that experience? Because I think it was a very important subject that you found. How did you come across that, and how did you guys start with that?
So yeah, greatest project we had last. I'll say the two things: the studio and the documentary. But we're so different in mentality that they, in my mind, didn't overlap. But it was exhausting for sure. So this comes from, I don't know if you know, did I tell you before, but I'm a cultural anthropology person. I study anthropology before. And so I am a very research person in all the...
Oh, really? I didn't know that. So now I know who to call if I need some research done. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. Cultural anthropology is like my minor, but it's actually a tool I use for my first documentary I did with Emmanuel, which was based on, it was called ink therapy, but I technically compare the tattoo session to like psychological therapy.
That's pretty neat.
And especially that one that is called behavioral therapy, where the therapist put the person to interact with arts and music and things like that, and kind of the point is like make that person express themselves freely. And I thought that was very much tattoo session. You know why? Because you're picking your art, and you have this one-on-one conversation with that person, sometimes for hours, because not everyone get like a little tiny.
So this is before the one that you just did. Oh, I didn't know about this one.
So
I know about the latest project, because me and Emmanuel have talked about it.
Okay.
That's
so
pretty
that
neat.
is the origin.
Of your...
So is this research, this 15-minute short, where we dip into the tattoo life of these two very young...
I never thought about it as therapy, but
yeah,
I thought it was a pain session, but okay.
Well, some people like really talk about why kind of the pain is enjoyable in some sense, and that was always like something. But for me, in this specific thing, it's like I was looking for a pattern in a different place. They said, well, you can go and check out coffee shops and see what the patterns look like there. And when I mean patterns is like observing everything that goes around the place. So how people look, how people behave, what they consume, what they do, and all of that. And I felt like in tattoo it's like more visually there. You know, you see it, and when you see a person that is full of tattoos, you relate that image to maybe rock and roll music and motorcycles, and you have like a whole niche there that subconsciously exists because tattoos were completely out of the pocket
Yeah.
on society for so long. Up to, I think, 1995, it was illegal in New York to get
Which is so
tattoos.
crazy to think about because people have been tattooing themselves for thousands of years.
Exactly.
Like, in various cultures. And to be real, I was like that too. Funny enough, I had to hang out. So the way I ended up with my tattoos is because I used to work, one of my last jobs at this company, and I hung out with Miles. I doubt he'll ever listen to this. He's not a filmmaker, but he would just talk about tattoos like, like that, right? Like it was something he just loved to do, and he was just covered, right? He was trying to get sleeves and everything done. And then, after you hang out with somebody for so long, they kind of influence you. And I was like, you know what? I have this idea and I really want to do it. And like I said, I went and I went to his artist recommendation because I don't know. And it was such a surreal experience to get this tattoo done. This was my first tattoo. And funny enough, they say that it's true. I didn't feel any pain. I didn't
Wow.
feel any discomfort. So I was like, oh, this is great. I was like doing this for 2-3 hours.
You see?
And then I was like, this is incredible.
And the question we kind of based the research on was, do you remember the first time you had a tattoo? The first time you got a tattoo?
Yeah.
And it's like everybody know vividly everything that happened that day. What I was wearing, what we talk, and there's like a lot of things that are memorable about the experience that I thought this is interesting. So from that documentary, we did pretty good. We got 4 awards.
Look at that.
2 in LA. Here we were selected in Orlando Film Festival. And then we start having a lot of fun again with with the little productions. But I was in my second day of screen at Orlando Orlando Film Festival. And I had my, the second screen is never as special as the first one.
Yeah.
First one, people, your friends, everyone goes. And then the second one is like, well, whatever is left, I'll be here at 2 p.m., So I had like almost full room. I remember I was sharing room with David. He had his documentary showing. And, well, we were there. The room was almost full, so I got to do Q&As. And, people, oh, love it, blah, 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 I like this or that, blah, blah, blah. And so a girl chased me after we were done, after the QA. She didn't ask any question personally, but she just came to tell me, hey, I really liked it. I really appreciate your research, because I talked a little bit about what was behind the documentary. And she was like, I know somebody that is doing a research that I think will appreciate if you share this with her. And here's her like contact. And she showed me just a business card. And I am in the middle of like, like this is so weird because people are talking. Yeah. And I'm like, so I grab the card and I'm trying to pull, and she pulls back. And I'm like, wow, this is weird. And I'm like, what? And she's like, no, this is my only card. Take a picture of it. And I'm like, oh my God. So I took my phone, took a picture, told her, yeah, I'll reach out to this person. And literally, that was October, maybe in January. I'm like, oh my God, I never text this person. What is wrong with me?
No, this happened to all of us.
Yeah, I'm like, I never reach out. So I just sent an email in the tone of sharing my work and knowing what was her work all about. But mostly introducing myself. Hey, somebody told me that you would like this. And P.S., I would like to know, what are you working on technically? And she was so amazing in like her feedback. It was insane. And I read all the email, and she's like, will you be interested in meeting me in a coffee shop? And I'm like, of course. So we went out, had a coffee, spoke about it. She said, like, I love it. I'm working on this. My project is the positive outcome of tattoos in the area of breast cancer. And I'm like, what do you mean? And it's like, yeah, we're talking about medical tattooing, and I'm start hearing all these things that first time I heard in my life, and we're like, wow, I have no idea. until like right now that if you ask me, I have so much knowledge in it. But yeah, from that day, we also had like such a good conversation that 2 hours passed by and we're like, oh my god, okay, amazing, nice to meet you, and
Yeah.
all of that. And I'm about to leave the coffee place, and I'm like, but by the way, whenever you're ready, and if you want to do a documentary, I'll be really interested. I think what you're doing is insane. And she was like, really? And I'm like, no, for real.
Yeah.
Like, this is insane. And she's like, okay, yeah, for me, it's a yes. So that day, literally, we just set up, we're going to start a documentary together
That's so cool.
without thinking everything that
Yeah.
has to be done to get a documentary. But we kind of say it in words like, yeah, let's
Yeah.
do this.
And that's such an incredible thing that, we don't think about, to be honest, on a daily basis, because this is more for their own empowerment, right? If I understand, because at the end of the day, it's a medical tattoo. It's not necessary because these people have gone through surgery, and this is for their own. How would you put it? Like, like this is empowering, right? They're making
Yeah.
them feel normal after
Exactly.
having gone through this horrible
Yeah,
experience.
I can disclose a little bit of
Yeah.
what the project is Project MTFM, and is two girls behind it, a medical tattoo artist, Stacey Baker, and a clinical psychologist, which is Miranda. So they, Miranda started all of this by researching about, how women is affected mentally on this, and she's trying to figure out how to, help them to stabilize their mental health and kind of embrace the new part of them and all of this. And so she started doing this research where she will get people that got tattoos and kind of share how they feel about themselves and all of that. And compared to people that didn't have, it was crazy how different they suffer from this term that is called body dysmorphia.
Okay.
So and it's this stress really, because like the body dysmorphia is like where when we don't feel good with our bodies, but the distress is after something impactful happened in their life and stuff like that. So so it happens to be real that a lot of women, after they go through mastectomy, they don't like their bodies anymore. They stop dating. They feel like this broken relationship with their body, just because feeling completely out of normality. So that's where the distress, the body distress, comes from. It's like, oh, I had this, I don't have it anymore. I don't feel good. More than the dysmorphia that is like, oh, I used to look like this and now I look like that. So all these traumas compel and all of that, and then the medical tattooing is where it gets very interesting. Is different technique, no so far from what the tattoo is, but it really taps into the psychology of the client, because it's not like a walk-in, whatever, you go vape and get a tattoo. It's really in a medical setting. You were coming from a medical procedure. The person needs to know how to troubleshoot with that kind of skin and all of that. And so it's a top layer to what tattoo really is. And it really is more about like how psychologically we treat these people to get them back to feel normal with themselves. So specifically, this is women after gone through breast cancer. So whether they had mastectomy and they lost everything and they just have hard scars, or just having losing the nipple and getting the 3D nipple tattoo. So yeah, that was kind of like my first intake of what the project was. And I just sat down, start, kind of researching for myself. Since I had some research to support my documentary, I was like, well, cool, because facts are going to be provided,
Mm-hmm.
but also how do I digest all of this for an audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had a lot of time just like in pre-production was also school
Yeah, pretty much.
and learning all of this, all blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, well, how do I convey their research as they managed to do it? And we just open cast
Mm-hmm.
for people to just launch themselves. I really said to them, it's like, you guys reach out to women that you have contact to, because a filmmaker coming to a breast cancer community and being like, hey, who wants to tell me a story? It's kind of weird because it's so sensitive. They're not fully healed, some of them, and you cannot push somebody to like that extreme, you know? So I really relied on them bringing on the girls. I, of course, introduce myself and be like, whoever feels brave enough to have this conversation for the benefit of for all, you know, it's like you're just gonna enlighten someone else like dark road. So you just might as well just share something.
And I love documentaries like this where you have a positive subject, you're highlighting a story that's not highlighted normally. That's so incredible. So is it done yet, or are you
It's
still?
done yet.
It's done. So you've edited it, put it out.
Yes.
How's the response been?
Well, so we had one, like, I'll say, one main screening at UCF during the art night, which is 1 week a year that they do. Like all the art majors have like an expo and things like that. And I had a room. It was not my favorite room. I'm trying to push the documentary through the film festival circuit first. But I thought it was very special to have a first ever screen at UCF. These other two women, the research one, they both are UCF students. So I felt like between three of us, why not? And it was pretty special. You know, when we were talking about like how to achieve feelings and things like that. So two things about this is one, I edit, produce, and direct. And that sounds easy to say, but it's really hard. And, you know, like I was like, well, at some point I was like, this needs to get done or I am going to get done to me. So I'm like, I'm going to die. But once I was done and all of that, I was like so nervous to see the result.
Because you have this story of somebody else that they haven't seen, right? How long did it end up being? What's the runtime?
An hour and 4 minutes.
Hour and 4 minutes.
So it's my first feature.
And first time the client's seeing it, and it's their impactful story. How did that feel?
It went super good.
Did they have good feedback?
Yeah, I have 2 or 3 comments to do about it. I was like, well, first thing I was like a little bumped because there wasn't like a good sound system, and it was in a schoolroom technically. So we have a projector. The projector was good enough.
I get it. It's not the highest quality. Anything,
so I was like, but even though we have that technical side of it, the responses, like we had like 2 of the talent that was there interviewing brought family and then some friends. Emmanuel wasn't there though. He hasn't seen the whole thing, and I haven't show him in like a TV or something like that because I really want him to see it big, So I'm like, well, since he couldn't get there on time, I was like, well, next time it's gonna be a film festival. Sorry,
exactly.
But
which hopefully he sees through it because he talks through the screenings. Which was it? We were watching Fernanda's screening recently, and people were shushing because he was talking through the scenes. It's like that's what we did, and literally, it was funny. Yeah.
So for that screening, what I loved I was in where the teachers sit. So you have like your desk here and then all the seats over here. So I sat there and I sat on the floor and look up and here's the screen. So I kind of had like a hidden place to watch it, but I also had visibility to the audience faces.
Mm.
So I'll be sneaking in, seeing how they feeling as
Yeah.
we progress. Because like I know every single everything that is there. Like I know every single word of
Yeah, you
everyone.
edited.
So I'm like, I was like, I don't want to see it because I feel shy to see it. But then I'm like super proud of how the outcome. So I was like, let me just see how they feel. And my first comment will be one of the husbands, one of the talent what was there, and as when she start her line that is like, I was diagnosed or something like that, the guy just slammed the top of the well, like this school table,
Yeah.
bah, and he
Why?
just left uh, because it's so strong. She's the only one who cries in that part,
Oh, so
and
he
he
did that because
couldn't take
he
it.
couldn't take his own.
He
Yeah.
couldn't take it seeing her saying it, because
Yeah.
like she's like she started and her voice start cracking, and you see how vulnerable that person
Yeah.
is. And but she did so well,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
just a moment where she kind of broke, and he was, I can't take this, bah, he left. 10 minutes happened, he came back, and then he saw the end of the story and how I portrayed it, and he came to me and said, wow, okay, you really touched my feelings, and
Yeah.
like I love this, and I
I mean,
was
that's
like,
great.
wow.
Somebody had even though, I mean, it sounds negative, but it's actually a good experience because they had such a
Yeah, I planned
strong
for that.
reaction, right?
Exactly. I
Yeah.
planned for building up to that diagnosed to be like, what?
Mhm.
This is another person?
Yeah.
Like that was my intention, is to, because that was what I learned. I
Mhm.
was like, wait a minute. Every single one that is involved in this project has a different age, different, like I'll say every single story, and for whatever side you compare it, is a completely different diagnose or case or age group or ethnicity. So I was so shocked. It's like comes from everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, no, I hate this. But at the same time, that's what I wanted the audience to feel like. So when I saw reactions like being in shock, mad, and leaving, for me was positive. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? I'm making feel people things.
Yeah.
And then in the progression of that, there's people who cried, people who laughed, and all of that. And I'm like, well, I guess this is what it is.
Yeah.
This
No,
is
that's
what
what it
we
is.
like
It's-
work. Because I don't feel like this is my best work forever. This is top. I feel like already can see how we could do things better.
But that's how a filmmaker is, right? I haven't never had, and I don't think anyone has, where you do a project and go, oh, this is the best ever. Because you're
Done.
always like trying to improve. You're always trying to go better. But then it's funny. I don't know if you've done this. I do this. You look at your work, from 10 years, you go, I was so bad. From 6 years ago, you go, I was so bad. You're looking from 1 year, you're so bad. You're all, because you're constantly improving. I think
Yeah.
that's what filmmaking is. You're trying to chase perfection
Yeah.
that doesn't exist. So you
True.
always improve and improve, and you get
Yeah.
better. And so no, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
Seems like you found rather, because it was you didn't go out looking for it. Somebody came to you.
Exactly.
But you found an incredible story with a meaningful impact, and you did your first feature documentary, and you took people through an emotional roller coaster while educating them about this medical tattooing thing, which is so important for these women's health. So that's so cool, right? I mean, this is what we do, right?
Yeah, and that's what I love to tell creators and filmmakers and documentaries. It's like you don't know where your next adventure is gonna start, and I do believe in like attracting things that your mind are like alike, and so then I feel like my best advice or piece of advice will be concentrate of what your mind is actually trying to search or wonder. because for me was like I was shocked to learn myself that could be compared to psychological therapy. But then from there to where the journey took me, I'm like, I'm just a medium. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like at that point I felt like, okay, yeah, this totally chose me. But who else could do the job I did when I'm a woman, when I can see how tattoo goes beyond than just like
Yeah.
covering skin.
Exactly.
And I had the sensitivity to, make everyone that was part of this like comfortable about talking about this. Cause like even myself, like who wakes up thinking in cancer if they're not affected, but by some reason?
Yeah.
Everyone wants to avoid that as much as they can.
Yeah, because they've already gone through the trauma. They've gotten the
Yeah.
surgery, right? They're already not doing
Mhm.
well mental health wise. So, and now you're like, hey, here's a camera, talk to it. I see it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and at the end, but again, that's where you separate a good filmmaker, because that's the idea. We want to capture the raw emotion while making them feel comfortable, which is hard.
Exactly. It's hard.
Sounds
Yeah.
easy, right? But it's
Yeah.
not. It's very hard. And then obviously, like I said, I'm so glad you were able to do
Yeah.
that.
Thank you.
And you have put it out there? Not yet. You said you just screened it there.
Yeah,
So
just screen it there. I
so it's not anywhere people could go watch this right now.
not
No.
now.
Oh, okay.
Just because I'm trying to get it like so for premiere official. I want the Florida Film Festival,
So you're gonna
which is
run
the
the
one the
whole yeah.
Asian, and then from
So you're gonna do the whole festival circuit, right? That's the plan.
yeah,
Okay.
that's my plan. And then afterwards, I'll
Yeah.
just think of the platform that will be more useful for it.
Yeah. And I think, to be real, we don't peddle anything on this podcast because the idea is education. But I think it's important for people to go watch it or
Yeah.
at least just see the work. So
Yeah.
whenever it comes out, I can go put it in the description
Of
of
course.
this podcast.
Yeah.
I would love to. So whenever you
Yeah.
do have a public link, please share it with me.
I will do.
I will put it down here. It may be in the future, but whenever that happens.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of like I'm biting my nails not to share it because like I feel really
No, but I
excited
get it.
about
You
it.
gotta run through the circuit and all that.
But yeah, like we do have an Instagram where I'm gonna keep updated everything, and even from the experience of the short film you were involved for, Manuel, the guys. I'm like maybe sometimes in this first quarter of the year I'll probably do a private kind of like crowdfunding more screening at the same theater and see if I can push, because of course, guys, everyone filmmakers out there, the film festival circuit is not for free. If you don't know it, if you're trying to get it, it's not for free. And
costs
like
a lot of money. That's how it's a business for them, but
it's a business.
it is what it is.
But I mean, that's the first assumption. Oh, film festival is fun. No, it's every entry has a price. So I'm considering, doing that for having a bigger and better setup to watch it, and also be like, hey, there's QRs if you want to ship in something, like kind of that. We're trying to promote this still.
And that's my thing, because I'm working on my movie right now, my first feature length movie, which is so crazy to think about. But same thing, we're gonna have to do the whole. And I was like, the whole idea is to make the best looking not indie movie ever, right? At $0. But so I'm like, but technically the budget won't be zero because we can't go through any film festival for free. So we're gonna have to somehow get funding, because we have to, obviously, if you're gonna make such a good, impactful but mine's more I shouldn't say impactful. Mine's more entertainment. It's like a mass market thing that we're trying to do. But either way, it's going to be very expensive to take it through all these film circuits. And that's going to be interesting.
Ooh, if I think of how I never thought this documentary will hit the feature length. I was like, maybe we can tell the story in 15-20 minutes. And then when I was dipping, I was like, there's no way I can tell all of this information in this amount of time, just because it's going to be rude for everyone. and probably the message won't get
Yeah,
there as
exactly.
much as an hour and 4 minutes did for me. So, but tell me you about like your feature.
Oh
You
my, yeah, I'm trying to do 100 minutes. So it's like a full feature length movie, and I'm trying to do it for no budget. But I'm also trying to, the task is at hand. We've talked about it a little bit. The task for my movie is simple. I want to do the most visually nice looking indie movie ever. Usually, when you look at low budget stuff, you could tell, hey, good story or whatever, but it's low budget. It is what it is, right? And I don't want people to go, oh, it's low budget. I want people to look at it and be like, whether they like it, ideally, hopefully they like it. But even if they don't like it, I don't want them to think, oh, they did it for no budget. I want them to be like, oh, they wasted millions of dollars making this. Right?
exactly.
That's the mindset. And the technique that I came up with to do that, obviously it can't just be done. That's why it doesn't get done. So we strategically, I came up with this story. It's kind of like a crime docufiction, I would say.
Yeah.
So it's like a documentary,
Oh.
but it's a fictional documentary where people are talking on camera. But as you know, cost wise, it's a lot easier to do
Yeah.
people talking on camera, and we
Yeah.
do interviews all day, every day.
Of course.
So that's why the idea is, and then I'm
Yeah.
gonna get Arri Alexa Mini LFs is what we're gonna shoot it on. We're gonna most likely use. I'm still testing looks. I'm gonna probably use Atlas anamorphics.
Nice.
So it's gonna be anamorphic. It's gonna be on
Wow.
Alexas. It's gonna be very beautiful. But at the end of the day, it's just interviews. It's people talking to camera, and that's where we are, because it's an hour and a half. More than that, right? Of people just talking to camera.
Exactly.
You got to keep it interesting.
Yes.
So our story, which I had Mari on the podcast, you got to listen to it. We've been like literally trying to make beats at every, like, let's say 10 minutes, because
Okay.
audience will get bored, right?
Of course.
It cannot just be, let me tell you about this. This
Yeah.
happened or this
There you
happened. And
go.
then like, okay, we have to keep audience attention for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So the only way we can do that is like, oh, this happened. And then you go, oh, shocker. Then 10 minutes later, oh, this happened, right? And then we're bringing twists and turns and new
Yeah.
characters into it.
Okay.
So you keep attention, because at the end of the
Okay.
day, from the filmmaking side of it, it's just people talking to camera. There's
Exactly.
nothing happening, right? Maybe,
Okay.
and the only other footage you ever see is either photos or potato home footage, because it's crime fiction from a long time ago, right? Like a real
Okay.
documentary would
Exactly.
be. It's based on
Exactly.
real documentaries.
Ooh.
So the idea is, what I'm saying is, at the core of what the film is a bunch of characters talking on camera. That's all it
Okay.
is, and that's all we could do at
Yeah,
our level
like-
of budget and make it cinematic.
Correct.
I hope that makes
and well, I think you hit something really important for those that don't have the full scope of doing a feature, is what you talked about, how to make it efficiently for the budget that you already have. It's
Exactly.
crazy because like you might think, oh, a director will be like this and that and this and I want that and I want this, and then like that's of course top of the dream, top of the ladder, I don't know, once in a lifetime. But most of us are just trying to figure out with the things that we do normally how to put story together. And yeah, I mean corporate like does
Yeah.
our life with like all the you can achieve something interesting and then from there just develop a whole story that you're gonna put together creatively, because being low budget makes you more creative.
Exactly. You're basically reaching to figure this out, and then the truth is, like you said, we know the limitations. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I do have an inherent advantage. I will say that, because yeah.
Yeah.
The light went out. That's welcome
Bye.
to live podcast. It is what it is. All right. So well, we just deal with it. There's no editing this live. So anyway,
We look amazing.
yeah. Anyway, so what was the thing? Oh yes. So basically, I already know the limitations. Now I have an inherent advantage because I have all the gear. Right,
Yeah.
so we don't have at least gear expenses,
Yeah.
and I get it. Most indie filmmakers don't have
Yeah.
gear or whatever. They're working on those limitations. I know the people, so we'll have a very
Yeah.
talented team. I know I have the gear, so we'll have very good gear. So I don't want to take anything away. Like, oh, there is $0. There's no
Yeah,
budget. Everyone is
exactly.
putting their time in. I'm putting all my equipment and time in.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, it's still an indie movie, and I'm going to take advantage of all the resources we have here to tell the best visual story I can, and then
Yeah.
also I don't want to take credit. I did come up with the story, but Mario and Will are doing the script, so it's on them.
Okay.
So I'm saying they're going to do a great job on that, and at the end, hopefully we can cast it well,
Yeah.
and get it made. And then I'm
Exactly.
so excited because here's the crazy thing about my movie. Like I said, it's just people talking on camera. We're telling a story. Every 5 to 10 minutes there's going to be something crazy happening, obviously, to keep people's attention span, right? And remember, we're trying to make it mass market. This is no indie art flick, like
Yeah.
critical thing. This is a entertainment flick.
Yeah.
But at the end, we want to do with this amazing twist that I can't wait for people to watch. So we just want to get people to that 180 minute mark, 190-minute mark, because it's like I said, it's about 200 pages roughly is where I'm aiming for. 100 pages. So at like 90 pages, we're gonna do this twist.
Okay.
But if people don't watch the first 90 minutes, sure, let's say my last 10 minutes is incredible, right? It's this crazy twist. People talk about it, but if they never get there,
Yeah.
then they never see the twist. They never talk about it. So our entire goal is somehow get people to be entertained, be intrigued, watch the movie, so we can do this twist that we want to do at the end. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it.
I love it. I think, well, I would love to be involved in some mockery or like just
for you to be involved, because I think that's the idea. I want to involve all the people that have been on this podcast are my favorite people. So, I'm going to ask, obviously I get it. Everyone's schedule may not work, but I'm obviously going to ask all the people that I know to be part of it, because at the end of the day, I think it's like I said, I couldn't do it myself. Same thing. I came up with a story, but I couldn't have even written it. I had to like call Mario. I was like, look, this is the story. Please put it on paper. And then Mario put it on paper. Incredible. And then it's so good to see something that's in your head on a piece of paper, right? And now we were like, okay, we got it there, but he's Peruvian. The dialogues, it's okay. English isn't his first language. So now we've brought in Will. We're like, okay, it's perfect. The script's there. We just now need to get the dialogues. Each character needs to sound different and be real.
Exactly.
So that's what we're doing now. And that's what I'm saying. It's a collaborative thing. You bring new people in.
I love that.
And then once that's ready, it would be incredible to, like I said, bring other people locally. Be like, okay, let's make the best looking indie movie. I think it'd be so cool.
And two things about what we just talked about here that might other people feel like, oh, so how different the process is. And it's like, for your case, you already have, will have, whenever the story is already set, you have something to give to your editor. And then your editor will work things around, maybe switch things around, but you kind of have the structure. For me, the structure was here, but all shuffle. All really shuffle. And then, in I say techniques of telling stories, I start trying to put things together. And then I'll be like, well, I'm going to start with this. Then I'm going to jump on this. And I had, like, let's imagine my brain was at 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte of like different folders and footage and photos and things like that if you open and you're gonna be like, what the fuck is this, right?
Exactly. It's in your head and you have to now translate that to
exactly. So I will go, I want to tell this part first, and this other part first, and this blah blah blah. And that took so much of me because I was already in love with the story. And for me, it was, oh my God, I think this is amazing. No matter like what part comes first. But then I start showing for for feedback. And then my mentor, Emmanuel, like my sister, my brother-in-law, like random ass people like, hey, can you watch this? Seems a little slow in this part. And I'm like, oh. And then I'm like, okay, go back, tweak things, come back. Why do you feel about this? Oh, that's cool. That actually goes. I'm like, yes. So I will test out just scenes,
Mhm.
maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, here and there. And then after I had enough
Mhm.
useful feedback, I closed my windows to more feedback, and I
Mhm.
was like, zero. From zero, start the timeline. Like I copy some of the scenes
Mhm.
I cut down, and then I start, well, this part, copy paste, this part, copy paste, and then figure out a whole different
And
timeline,
that's so
which,
great though. But you did it so incredibly right. You essentially had your own focus group, right? You're like,
yeah.
and that's so. I think that's so smart of you as a filmmaker, because sometimes I also think we get in our head and we think, oh, we know everything. But the truth
Yeah.
is, we're so involved in the process. We see every mistake. We see
Mhm.
every pacing thing, and sometimes we have to stop and let
Yeah,
other people see it and see if they even notice something we're worrying about for
exactly.
2 hours that wasn't even important, and then something we missed completely that may be relevant to them, like you said, pacing. To you it'd be like, oh, this is perfect
Mhm.
pacing, but the audience may not get it. And I think
Exactly.
it's so important as a filmmaker to sometimes just take a step back and just accept that, look,
Exactly.
I need to show it to other people, let me get
Exactly.
feedback, and see what other people are seeing.
And have that different perspective, because I had my mentor, which is really talented and DP and commercial. He's kind of the one who brought me into like the commercial narrative and all of that.
Hmm.
So he knows.
Yeah.
So he made his point like
Yeah.
really clear about communication.
Hmm.
Then I had Emmanuel coming through and feeling, just reading his body language, he was getting bored. And I'm like, yeah, that part, I mean, could
Yeah.
be faster. And they both know about what we're doing.
Hmm.
Then I had to jump to a different mindset, which is my audience.
Hmm.
And then I go to show my sister, which is highly educated and watching things, you
Hmm.
know? So, um, getting her feedback was useful, because she's like, she sees as any other people who watch TV,
Hmm.
unlike us, but that
Yeah.
is like, we don't watch that, we
Yeah.
just process image,
Yeah.
really. But for people that is authentic audience, you
Hmm.
need to ask them how they feel about things, you
Exactly,
know?
because they're not hyper analyzing the image. They're
Exactly.
just into the story.
They're into the story, and so it's like, did that resonate to you really or not? Or you can just watch their genuine
Yeah.
reaction to things. And then that's how my focus group was. Really,
Yeah.
it's like a little bit of people don't know, a little people that is involved, and a little people that does what I do.
Hmm.
um and that's it. And I wish I had like more time to discuss, and it probably will bring me to a different outcome. But at some point I feel like, I'm the responsible of
Hmm.
this needs to get done now.
Yeah.
And I was like, it doesn't matter. I feel like this story is one of those stories that will be more useful if it's
Hmm.
out
Yeah.
sooner than later, because they're trying to change things in the medical side of,
Hmm.
finances, and they do have some changes
Hmm.
to get done, in order to make this thing
Yeah.
available for every woman, so knowing that there was kind of the deadline behind
Hmm.
the story kind of make me feel, as long as I have everyone professionally well said and clear what I want to accomplish
Yeah.
with this, educate a little bit, raise awareness. And I did have like a vision board type of thing, and where I put like the values I
Yeah.
wanted to, reinforce, which is, let's be positive about this topic, let's bring awareness, let's
Yeah.
propose a solution and not a problem. And since I had that in my mind, so like that was what really put the structure. It's like it's a whole set of values. And then I'm like, I just want them
Hmm.
to, of course, the owners of the research. I always like share my brain, and I'll be like, hey, do you think this should be the end of it? Because like I feel like, yeah, we can go through this and this and that,
Hmm.
and then this is. And they were like, yeah, that's incredible. And
Yeah.
they come from different science, and also they have background in art. And that was also like super cool to think. It's like how different in art we're involved. and how much in psychology we have in common, because their work is technically based on things that for me matters a lot. Like if somebody asks me what's my goal and stuff, I will always love to tell stories that convey to idea of like awareness, self-healing, mental health, and things that really is an outtake for humans.
Yeah.
Is that the only thing we really can take from others is like how to process our own life. And I think with them, we just sat on the same page. And it's like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
We just want the best for others. So since that was the structure, then the little things, which were the toughest thing, was like putting the narrative to convey those things that we talk.
And that's so amazing. And like you said, it's a mental math, right? You as the filmmaker are like, okay, now this terabyte footage, there's this folder structure, and only you get it. So I'm so glad, like I said, you put it together, you told an impactful story. I haven't seen it, but I would love to see it.
Yeah.
But I know the kind of work you and Emmanuel put out, so I know it'll be good. Because like I say, me and Emmanuel have done tons of projects together.
Yeah.
But
you
also-
mentioned a documentary I want to watch.
Which one?
I don't know, the one that you most recent did together.
That's a really good. That's gonna
He's
save
loving it.
lives. No, that one is gonna save lives. I just came, by the way, from a conference in San Diego where we shared basically the team was there, like they were sharing it, and the response is amazing. I think they're gonna get full on sponsors to get it done, because that one's like genuinely, like, we say lives.
Yeah.
That one's gonna save lives,
I
and I'm
love it.
excited about that one. So
Nice.
so it's so cool. But talk about documentary. So I did obviously I'm mostly in the corporate side of things.
Yeah.
I did this corporate documentary, and and Emmanuel was part of some of the filming sessions of it. It's so crazy because, like you said, it's in my director's head, but sometimes I can't edit because I'm shooting. So I had this happen earlier this year. So, like I said, Emmanuel was part of it. We were telling this company, it was like a 35-minute, you could say, corporate documentary. But it was so crazy for me because, we filmed, and we didn't get the last filming done until, it was like, oh, we need another day, until like, let's say Tuesday. So here I am. The event, by the way, this event is on Saturday. So I'm like at Tuesday going, all right, Julie, here's 3-4 terabytes of footage from 5 days of work with 50 people. And guess what? You have to use every single one of them because, it's a corporate thing. They have requirements. So it's like, okay, the only rules are you have to take them through a roller coaster journey. It needs to be about 35 minutes. And you have to use at least one soundbite from every person. Go. And I can't imagine the nightmare, I'm going through because I have a story. But to tell an editor, and then I was like, oh, by the way, this needs to be done by Friday so the client can see it because it needs to be played live at the event on Saturday. That was an experience. She didn't sleep for 3 days. And I was like, and as a director and producer, I'm like, I want to see cuts, but we don't have time, right? It's 3 days. I'm like, what if on Friday this is completely different than the story that I made? But anyway, it was a nightmare. So I can't imagine that process. And I would love to have her on podcast one day, but like talk about it because she went straight on 3 days, and I'm going through this nightmare in my brain. I'm like, I have no idea.
You have to have like a different sensitivity to footage.
Yeah, and
because footage is footage, and it could get very boring. And then if you're like those kind of like action oriented editor, you might not find anything that pick your attention, but you rather, like for me, 1 hour, 10 minutes of interview, that was like, we set a time for it. Like I was like, the main people, max 120. And the other 45, 50. Yeah. Like the one who like get emotional and need a break, an hour mark. Each hour for me to process, to make, so I had an AD. So the AD will keep all the notes, all the time codes, and I love that so much. It was the first time I was like, yes.
Yeah, because like you said, that's a lot of footage to go through and find bites and
so much. Every hour will take 8 hours of digestion, really, because of course the hour you can listen it to like a podcast. But then for me, it's like I like to mark my timeline and do all
Yeah.
question, answer, hint.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll have every single one of them completely marked by different colors, which is different topics, emotions, and things like that. So not only like totally like analyzing what they said, but also, okay, now this player is going to be main character or not. And something that really is funny about that documentary is that we didn't have like a main character until the very end. We didn't have a narrative driver, and that was driving me crazy.
Yeah, because
I'm
you're like filming all this and you don't know.
exactly. So I was like, how? Because it could be the kind that is informative. This happened, like when
Yeah.
it's like event sharing. And I was like, yeah, cool, but I would love to have somebody that takes us through the journey, and that person didn't show up till like the last thing, and it was one of the last actual interviews that I directed. And when we were done with her, I was like, whoa, now I know how to put the story together, because through her we saw from the first consultancy of like how like when she want to get the tattoo, all the way to the footage of getting the tattoo
Oh
done.
my goodness, that is the story right there. Yeah.
Right there. And like the rest of the girls that, volunteered, this wasn't an official cast. It's like whoever wants to share the story, were tattooed already. So we only have this one that was about to get a tattoo.
And that's, I think, very important to show.
Exactly.
Yeah, no,
so
I
it
see.
was very important because we can hear, oh yeah, this is good, this is good, this is good. We love it, we love it. But when you see somebody going through it, like
Yeah, and how they
truly,
feel after it's done and all
then
that. Yeah.
and she had like very subtle emotions. I feel like there was more emotional other stories, but that also was good.
Yeah.
Because I wanted less of it linger in suffering and more of a, I can't do this. And she is literally like so strong. She's like, yeah, I'll do this. Yeah, well, I really want to fly this week, but I still have some other like treatment to get done. And I'm like, wow, like she did all this so brave. So like, this nothing that I learned a lot from her. And also it was perfect to fit her as our narrative driver, which is funny because like it wasn't planned from first day.
Wow, that is so cool. And I want to switch gears, talk about what we started in the beginning, the studio.
Yes, good.
Oh my goodness, that's the
Yeah.
other big thing you did.
Yeah.
So I've talked to Manuel about it. What, I like all of us filmmakers, I've been going for years. It would be nice to have a studio, but then I ran the, at least for me, the economics of it. It just never seemed to work. But you guys went out there out of nowhere, just built it.
Yeah, funny.
So it's you, Emmanuel, and you have another business partner,
Yeah.
all Venezuelans. So I guess that was the key to getting it done.
Yeah.
Which was why I was not invited. Too bad. So anyway, but no, it's good. I'm so happy for you guys. I went there.
Yeah.
I literally stole for my space was I was building it. Like I was
Yeah.
talking to you. You weren't there, but Emmanuel was. I was like, okay, so my space is mostly done. I want to come see your space finally. And I went there and I was like, ooh, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to make a mirror.
Yeah.
Oh, I need a couch. So I literally kind of
No,
pretty much.
that was kind of like the point of doing the building the studio content because of that. Like how useful is to like, okay, I'm almost done with mine. It will just spark something in you.
Yeah, exactly, right? We're all just, again, copying of each other. I mean, I was blazing enough to literally ask for links. I was like, just send me the links. Anyway, but talk me through, because, obviously, like I said, I know what you guys did, but like, what was going through, or what was that conversation like initially before you've done it, right? Where you guys
It was the coolest thing because, well, I mean, I talk to Emmanuel daily basis. And, at some point we will gather in some coffee shop. We love create. And then we will just sit there and talk about this imaginary studio we will have in the future. and all the different ideas that we will do instead of getting the done job, the work done. But
Do you guys speak in English or Spanish?
English.
English, huh? Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, we're talking about this idea, blah blah blah. But it was always something that we will just fantasize about, and it's like, okay, yeah, we'll talk about this, and then how are we gonna do business this month? I have this technique, I have that, and whatever. But we had this gig together. We were hired separately, but we were like, hey, you're going to that gig tomorrow? Yeah, me too. I'm like, oh, snap,
Wow,
cool.
that's so
we love it.
crazy.
And so we were, I think, in Gaylord Palms, and just for a corporate thing. And it was the slowest shift that we ever done together. I don't know why. It was just something about the whole convention not having a good drive of people doing the interviews that we were supposed to be doing. And it was just 8 hours.
So what was his role? Was he the DP? And what were you hired for?
I think for that one, I might have been gaffing.
Okay.
And just assisting, production assistant. And for him, camera op.
Camera op, okay.
Yeah.
So he's camera op, you're gaffing and PA, and you guys were hired separately, and even though you're friends.
Yeah.
So you show up, and it's a boring day.
It's a boring day. It's cold as hell. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, in Orlando? Which is so weird. We don't get cold days that often.
No, but it's super cold because of the inside of the hotel.
Okay. I get
and
that.
when you're like in a corporate gig, yeah, as long as you're walking, it's all good. But if you're sitting, it's so cold. If you're like camera up in a big convention, you're like, you need sweaters, literally. So we were just there talking, and he's like, hey, Val, I found this place. But they're like all mysterious, and we were like just with a whole like crew. So, but we just sat there and started talking about how he found out about Alexa Mill 50. And he showed me the floor plan. He showed me the workspace. We started talking about the living workspaces. And he's like, I don't know you, but I'm obsessed about this. And I'm like, by the time we were 4 hours in, we're like, we were already thinking where we're going to put stuff and where. And this is the price. How do we manage? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, but at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, this is a yes from me. Yeah. I'm going to partner with you, and we're going to go see the apartments this week. And it was such a fast pace how we took all the decisions. And at some point then I was like, well, this is going to be the headquarters of Emma Films and Hazelnut Production. And since I do have a partner, which is Mariana, I'm like, well, if it's going to be Hazelnut, can we have Mariana? Mariana is hybrid. She's not ever like there all the time, but she totally will have a good use of this space. And then it was kind of more of a, executive.
You
just
took
like
the decision,
It was like, you know what? Yeah, that works for everything.
So you guys would split it 3 ways, the rent? Okay.
Yeah.
Which would help. Because that's why I was like, when I was looking at it, I was like, the economics never work. But if you can split it 3 ways, it makes way more sense to have a creative space. Plus, you guys work together a lot of times anyway. Might as well just hang out together,
exactly. Right? So
save the coffee shop money.
Literally, like the coffee. Oh my God, we went to, and that was also like a bigger thing. Like that, I like to think that life prepare you to the next step without you thinking about it. Because of this, the documentary and the projects I was doing, I was like so eager to use studios and tell my clients, let's use studio. And because it looks better, it's content, anyway. And so by the time we had the opportunity to open studio, we've been in so many studios. We've been using studios. We know the positive and the negative of other studios we've been. And we're like, well, yeah, I think we can do this. And it was just being determined to like then having a empty space and building something out of it. So
I think you guys did great for obviously it's not like a huge studio, but for the size that you have, you guys very efficiently laid out, there's a psych wall, multiple backgrounds, makeup station, right? And a place for clients to hang out. So I think overall you guys very efficiently built it in a very usable way. Plus, there's 3 desks there. You can all
Yeah,
work. I mean,
exactly.
I was very surprised and happy for you guys because I'm like, this
Thank
is
you.
such a cool space. And you've been using it.
Yeah.
You've been doing photo shoots
Yeah.
there. You put it up on Peer Space, you know.
Yeah.
So that's
I
pretty
actually
good.
I finished the documentary, editing the documentary in the empty studio.
That's
Because like
great.
I was so happy to finally, like what we talked earlier, to separate work and life.
Yeah.
I've been like from my freelancer years before, and Emmanuel as well. We were working from our rooms,
Yeah.
meaning we face the computer from the bed, and that's just crazy.
And you don't
Because
want
like
that. Yeah.
sometime it's cool, like working from home, like just going out for shoots. It was good, and the stage was nice for me. But then I'm like, I cannot have a break,
Yeah.
and like I'm not feeling well. So first thing when I got the place, I'm like, boom, took
Yeah.
everything that it has to do with my office in the space, and then I start readapting to having a workspace and having like kind of like a schedule, like
Yeah.
hours. I'm back to having like an office hour type of thing, and I'm happy.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
Because see, that was my thing. Now, to be real, I don't know I will be that good if I'll have office hours. But my whole thing was genuinely like having done like you.
Mhm.
You know, your personal space is your personal space. But when
Yeah.
your personal space becomes your workspace,
Mhm.
I feel like you can never enjoy your personal space
Yeah.
anymore. Because
Yeah.
it's like you're all, because, you know, at least for me, and I want to know your perspective in this. You know, what we're doing is creative and technical and business thinking. So if this is the space where I'm sitting and doing that, I can't now go lay down and chill and watch a movie. I don't know. I just
Me
can't do that.
neither.
And I had to do
Yeah.
that for years. So when I finally did this, you know, like I said, my entire rule was just this: as long as I can separate it, I want no video production equipment on this side, right?
Mhm.
If I cross this barrier, I'm working. And if I'm this barrier, I am hanging out, chilling,
Hanging
whatever.
out,
You know, or
yeah.
maybe emails. I'm not taking emails, but you what I mean. Like there's no actual editing or production or anything or equipment prep or camera prep happening on that side. And I've only had this space for a little bit, but it's been game changer.
Oh my
So
God.
so
So
has
nice.
this like
It
helped you?
really, yeah, and especially with the biggest project to get it done. I was struggling waking up in my room, opening Premiere, start, like swifting things around, and then having a client calling me, and then a meeting, and then I'll be like, well, then I'll keep editing after, and then I was not getting
You have to
things
go
done.
have a food meal. Or,
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you time gets like a little prioritized with like the things that you gotta get done, and then you're at home, and then it's like, okay, let's make some food, and then let's do this, and then I was like, okay, I'm not getting stuff done, and then as soon as I change that, I know that I'm leaving my house by 9-10, and then I probably won't be back until 7. But in the meantime, my hours working are gonna be super um proactive, because at the end I get back and I don't have my main computer there.
Yeah.
So if I don't have that, because that's the practical part of it. It's like, well, I didn't get this done, but my computer's in the house, and I'll get it done as soon as I get there. But then it's night and you don't want to do that. So yeah, it kind of separated for me in my mind, and then now I have priorities like getting home and maybe working out, or just like relaxing, no opening a like literally shutting down my brain. And I think that's super healthy.
That's so good. I'm so happy for you. I think if anyone can learn anything from today's podcast is that. And I love the part that you guys did. Because to me, obviously you built a great studio. You have a now work-life balance, both you and Emmanuel, and I'm guessing a third partner. That's the person I don't know yet, so I don't want to speak for them. But here's, like I said, the coolest thing. Anyone can do this, because here's what you guys did. Like, let's break it down, and I love it. 3 friends get together, get a space, you guys split rent, and then it makes it financially viable, because now you can do your individual things.
Exactly.
Right? You're doing your thing, Manuel's doing his thing, your third partner is doing their own thing. you're running your each individual production company, but then now you're running companies together. So
Right.
now you can not only collaborate with each other, pass on work, or bring each other,
Exactly.
but then you can keep doing your own thing, and it
Mhm.
only costs you 1/3 the space would have, which may not have financially worked for either one of you, but together it works. So
It
I'm like,
works.
why can't 3 people listening to this who are
Yeah.
friends go together and they'll get a space,
Yeah.
build a studio, have a space to just be productive,
Yeah.
and then keep having that? Because like you said, that was been my biggest nightmare. It's like not having any ever since I started this company. I've had no work-life balance up until a few months ago when I get the space done, and it was a game changer. But it took
Yeah.
me 6 years. If somebody could skip that by
Yeah.
because I didn't have it, I didn't think of that, right?
Yeah.
I didn't go, oh, let me call 2 other filmmakers and do
Yeah.
it together, 3, genuinely. So you guys, I
Yeah.
think, are an inspiration for other people because like they can do that now. They can be
Yeah.
productive from day one
Exactly.
and hopefully go get more business.
Yeah, and thinking of yourself of like, let me grow in my niche or my skill and all that is something you plan in the future, and then you have to rely on the people that is around you. And I feel like we have in our hands such a good material to grow in so many different ways. And I love to think that even from media production, stick to media production is just because it's everything that we mentioned today is media production.
Yeah.
And so people are like, oh, but that is a very big concept. And then no, because you have more and more options. And I feel like having a place does the same role, which is, well, we are now thinking, well, let's try a little bit of events, and let's try a little bit of education. We start Hazelnut Academy, where we're gonna bring an instructor to talk about a topic they're
Look at that.
proficient
So you're
in.
already like expanding your
And
portfolio of things that you can do.
exactly,
Yeah.
and things that education is not a skill set a gaffer has, right? But
Yeah.
then through the medium and through the other plans you've been doing, I think having a gaffer class will be very useful for other
Yeah.
people. I would love to have you talking about business and business sides of thing, and
That's exactly what I love to do.
and
Funny enough, you say that. I'm like, we need more episodes with you because we barely even we haven't even started talking business, and it's
Yeah.
already like almost 2 hours. That's
You
crazy,
see?
right?
Wow.
So before we, because unfortunately, well, not fortunately, I wanted to talk to you about
we'll
all
be
the things.
back.
Yeah, but like before we go, I do want to talk business with you.
Yes.
So, because we both love business, and I think that's the key of it. How are you finding? So now, right? Obviously, you have this experience, you have the
Yeah.
studio, you have everything. How are clients finding you, or how are you finding clients? Which is the way more common way, and what's your process?
Well, so at the moment, we've been very based local type of people reference the prior work we've done. But it's been like 2 years since I partnered up with Mariana. We decided to bring our skills all together in a package and start naming it like branding, audiovisual branding. So from small business to small business, we've been getting other people that just started or they want just to refresh their company name or their logo and things like that. And so we work in partnership to do
So
all
what does
the
she
branding.
bring? So what does she do again?
She is a graphic designer and
I see.
a brand
so you're
specialist.
The audio video,
Yeah.
and she's doing branding, and this is so cool. Well,
Exactly.
I got to talk to her too.
Yeah.
Then at some point, maybe season 2, it'd be so cool. So this is incredible.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It's about partnering with people who have
With-
different skill set, right? So you two use your unique skill
Yeah.
set, brought it together, and now
Yes.
you're audiovisual branding for small
Exactly.
business. That's pretty cool. What type of businesses are you targeting? Any
So-
specific industries?
I love products just because it can get so nice and creative.
Yeah.
But we're dealing with services. We're trying to tap in a little bit of like all the branding of real estates and, from their logos to their headshots and maybe their piece of content. in that side. But I think last year was when we start making sense, because the year before was me, first of all, trying to get Mariana to partner with me, and then second, explain this from my perspective. A lot of people don't get really what audio visual branding is, and then you really need
Yeah.
it for like consistency in your
Exactly.
outlets.
No,
So
it's very important to have all the branding throughout match.
yeah,
Now, here's the question people want to know. Partnering with people is very hard.
yeah,
Business partner, a lot of businesses fail just because the partnership
exactly.
fails. So how did you have that conversation, and what is the split? Is it like 50-50?
Yeah, 50-50. We work based on project based. So and also we are happy to get other people involved depending of the budget.
Yeah.
We are not gonna, bid so big and get like all messed
Yeah.
up for that. But yeah, if it's something that is only branding,
Yeah.
she will take care. That's her share, and then we might have just the 30-20% that goes to Hazelnut for other things in general, like
Okay.
like
Now
things that
here's the wrench in the thing. Let's get the other thing I know is in graphic design, all you need is a computer, maybe a
Yeah.
color calibrated screen, but in video you need lights, camera, so
Yeah.
it's more expensive. So
Yeah.
does that affect the split in any way? Because what you're doing, your part of it is more expensive,
Yeah.
and costs are higher
Yeah.
than what she's doing. So with a 50-50 split, how do you
Yeah.
make that work?
Well, because the 50-50 always come from our, like, the percentage we set for just Hazelnut.
Okay.
But if she's designing something and we quote it, so that's another thing that we do a little bit differently. We work as a consultancy. So somebody comes and I need a logo, I need a headshots, I need this, and I need a website. And then we figure out budget, quotes, and everything else. So quotes that has to do only with branding, depending of the special needs, she will take care of that. And then we have our percentage that goes for both
But
of
it's not
us.
50-50 then.
No,
Yeah, because it
that's
makes
not
sense.
fair.
She's doing
Then for me, like if I'm filming, she cannot help. Maybe
How do you split that then with the graphic design, the first one? Does she take like 80%, you said, and then the Hazelnut gets 20%?
Yeah,
And is it the same for video? If you're primarily just doing video, then 80 and then 20 goes to Hazelnut? Is that how it is? Or
Yeah,
no?
so not really, because hear me out. For example, we have a bigger project, and we have a part that is graphic design, a part that is video production, a part that is photography. And I'm not going to take care of the video, but I'm going to hire somebody. I'm going to pay whatever the person tells me that is, and I'm going to include it in my thing. And we all have to pay a little bit for our percentage, which is a Hazelnut percentage. But at the beginning, or like starting off, it was like we want to have the client regardless. So probably she will do some work that have nothing to do with and have no money to get from it. But it's the client that we're sharing, really. So if I'm bringing somebody else, depending on what the client already talked to me, if I'm bringing a DP that covers up everything they asked for, that's what you get. Like especially when I
So
ask
the
you
company
which
will
one
get
is
production
yeah,
fee. Okay, I
exactly.
get it.
So just
like a typical agency.
exactly. So in that case, I feel like I love to reward the people that I bring on, like honoring their value more than me putting a value on it.
That's very
Unless,
important.
yeah,
I think,
I mean, it's like I'm hiring you. How much is your rate? Is this okay? That's what you get paid, and we are both happy, right?
Exactly.
But on my side, I will have to make sure if we even bring in Mariana for just designing assets, her part will be there too. Meaning in your quote, how much it is to design all the lower thirds and how much is to do the little quick opening or the logo for the production, and then her money will be involved in the budget. So so far it's like that because we don't have other employees under us.
So it's just the
and we don't
two of
have
you,
to.
right?
Yeah,
And then you bring in outside contractors as needed.
yeah.
That's so
Project
cool. At least
treatment,
I'm
project
glad you
management.
figured it out because, like I said, tell people partnerships are great because
Yeah,
two people can do things
yeah.
better than one. But
Mhm.
then at the same time, you need to define all these things
Yes.
now. Don't do handshake agreements because that's what I've seen so many friends or partnerships fail because they didn't have this
Mhm.
communication like you did
Yeah.
and figure out exactly how you're gonna do the split when things, because
Yeah.
I was like, if you partner with a graphic designer, video costs are higher. You gotta have all those things, calculated in there. But that's pretty cool. What type of rates are you trying to aim for? Like, is there like an average project price that you guys aim for?
Yeah,
Because small businesses go, we can't afford video photos. So what's the
exactly.
price range?
We always try to push there. Well, especially if you are like super new, just maybe register your company and that's all you got.
Yeah.
We will like offer like a full branding package,
Which is what
which is
logo, all the brand guidelines,
all the brand guidelines, the use of the brand, all the values and all the copyright, the verbal identity and things like that. And of course, the first person that we literally make them like understand and pay, it was a price that we will never touch again.
Yeah,
Like,
so what
but-
is the price you charge now?
So for the full branding, 1200s is like the best we can do. But since we consult and they're like, oh no, but we have our verbal identity because we plan for this copyright, then we'll move around things like that.
And how do you charge for consultancy? Do you charge by the hour, or is there minimum hours? So what's the minimum rate people can pay to consult with you guys?
I think first thing with when you let us know that we are going to be hired for sure, the consultancy part is included.
Okay.
But if you're just asking me questions and not knowing if you're really gonna do that, I said like a meeting hour. Of course, I'm not like hour done. Because
so you're charging for the meeting. That's the consultation. And what is the rate? Obviously, I get it. You're not gonna be like 60 minutes done. But it's by the hour most likely, right?
Yeah, I'll just try not to overkill myself and be like, okay, let's talk for as much as we can for $100. And
that's pretty fair for somebody to have that conversation. That's where you're trying to help them figure out their identity, all that, and then you can obviously do logo and brand design and all that.
And it's so funny because like it's really pretty much like I don't know, psychologist or I don't know, not a psychologist, but it really like a consultant in any kind of your life is like, so what is your idea? What is your goals? What is your life looking like? What is your mentality? So it's like a conversation that gets really, really dense and long. So I like to at least have that to like, hey, let's stop this here. But sometimes I've done that for free, and I'm like, oh, I gave out all these ideas for free.
But that's what happens, right? With creative people, they were going to do it anyway. But we have to learn that it's a business and do it right. And then on the video side, so you're still doing video. What's the primary way you directly work with clients? Are you like a videographer? What do you present yourself as a videographer? Because that's what people expect you to call yourself.
Exactly. And then
what rates are you trying to charge by the day rate? Are you trying to charge for a whole project?
Yeah, project base.
So what's the average rate that you do projects now in, let's say, 2024, last year? Average, what were you trying to charge?
Let's say a package of X amount of reels, X amount of photos, content ready to go. No posting and doing the marketing, which we're gonna start doing it from this year on. But just a package like that, it could be maybe 1 day of filming, like 5-hour filming, and then post-production and everything that involves it between 600 700, pushing it because they would be like, oh, it's a little expensive.
Yeah, but then that's low.
That's low because I have to be a full-on DP videographer. Everything else I got first.
Too. So basically, you're doing 600 to 700 day, and that's just one half a day, let's say, of shooting,
Yeah.
and then maybe editing the rest of the day,
Yeah.
and then you're giving them reels and photos or whatever,
Exactly.
right? And that's pretty great, right, for a small business who's
Yeah.
starting out and trying to, get the content that they need. And this is more
Exactly.
social content. Did you do anything that was different than social content, or that's where you think most
I
small
think that's
businesses
where
are?
my clients really sat in.
Yeah.
And also photography, headshots,
Yeah.
and things that showcase their business in some portion. I like to have like that variation
Yeah.
of things because we looked at them social, uh, you know,
Yeah.
look from the beginning and be like, yeah, you might need this kind of thing
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So what I do is like, since I know the budget already, I just come with all the ideas
Yeah.
fresh and I just utilize the 5 hours to get done all the different ideas. So it's
And how
not
many
like
reels on average are you trying to get done in that 5 hours?
between like, so it would be monthly, say 3 a week type of thing. So we're looking at 10,
10,
12
which is
that,
pretty
yeah.
doable. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty good. I mean, I think the smart move, that's a very good
Yeah.
rate. You can definitely get a lot of the small businesses. Are you trying to do retainers? Because then you can do for so many months, right? Have you done a
Yeah.
retainer, or you done it
Uh,
one time each?
I have only one retainer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do they pay that like every month?
Yeah.
Okay.
There'll be.
How many months do you do the retainer for?
We do like 4 months is like kind
4
of
months?
like the first line
Yeah.
where you can continue yourself or keep doing this or change strategy maybe. I think like 4 month mark is kind of, you already know what you deal with,
Yeah.
But we also have like things that are less formal, but we just want to keep their social media active. So we just do small little, clips and things like that. And I just curate a lot of what those pages will
Oh
have.
my goodness, we could so talk. What's crazy is our time is up, even though, and it's time to wrap things up. And it's so crazy. We just got into so I know we could talk 2 more hours about this. So
100%.
I can't wait to bring you back on season 2. I would love to continue and talk more in this business. I really wanted to talk about your documentary, so that's why we spent so much time on it, because I think it's so great. But on the other side, I'm so happy that you have your production company, you have your studio, you guys are killing it. Sounds like you've got your business strategy figured out with the target audience that you are targeting. I would, like I said, love to go more deep into it maybe next time. But before we go, any other stories you want to tell? Anything else you can tell quickly? I don't know. I don't know.
mean, it's been well, first, I'm super glad to be here. Always talking to you is like amazing. And, knowing that what you really want to do with the community is genuinely share our brains. I felt very comfortable to share mine.
No, that's the entire plan of this, is to share and help.
Yeah.
Because I want you to go watch all the episodes and maybe
Yeah.
be able to put some things in your brand. And the same goes with everyone. It doesn't matter the skill level you are. You can always learn something from someone.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't promise 2 hours of full education for everyone. We're just chatting. I've noticed that in the other episodes, like nuggets thrown at 10 minutes. Somebody said something gold, and then 10 minutes of BS. We're just having fun. We're just filmmakers having a conversation. And like I said, we would have done this anyway. Might as well record it. So I'm so happy that you came and took time, because I know you're busy. You're editing, you're filming, you're running production company in a studio. And like I said, we got to continue having more of these conversations. Lastly, before we go, do you want to tell people your Instagram, or where can they follow you?
Well, I highly encourage you to follow my personal page, which is just delightful creativity and nothing really personal, which is VALHELCCSP. That's my user and Instagram. And then please go and follow Hazelnut Production. It's hazelnut.production. production.
That's Hazel, as in Hazel, right?
Mhm,
Okay.
Hazel. Because
Hazelnut
we're
is-
nuts, you
Yeah.
know. That's
Do you
why.
have a hazel eye or something? How'd you pick Hazel?
Hazel, it just come from a whole different. That could be
Oh,
an
really?
episode.
Oh, wow.
That was
Okay.
my
You
sister
know, I
and
have
I.
hazelnut eyes, so I didn't know it's like that was a
Yeah.
thing. or
No, my
something.
eyes are no hazel, but hazelnut is the best ingredient in every single thing
Yeah.
ever.
Oh, I love what is it? Ferrero Rochers.
Oh,
my favorite candy. I think
Nutella.
they have hazelnut in the
Yeah.
middle, right? Oh.
And that's even one of our like verbal identity.
Oh,
It was
really?
like where the ingredient you're missing. We're like, oh, that's the little thing.
Smart
So
Nutella, Ferrero Rocher.
hazelnut that production. That's our Instagram, and then I will say, don't miss the opportunity of checking the Studio 124. That is the three of my accounts that I
Look at
spend
that.
a lot of the
Plug
time.
everything. No, but thank you. Like I said, again, coming. Can't wait to continue this conversation. And I'm so excited about this year. I think we're going to actually collaborate. Like I told you, I think let's do productions together. Let's
Of
raise the
course.
bar and let's kill it.
Yes, hell
All right.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Val.
Bye.